What's up, Melanated family? Let's get right to it. Now, quick news story I want to talk to y'all about. Just real quick, right? I was reading an article a couple days ago, and I saved it on my computer to make sure I can come to the family and talk to y'all about it. But I read an article a couple days ago that basically stated black men, black men in America are they are the most unemployed people in our country. More so than white men, more so than Asian men, more so than Hispanic men. Black men are the most unemployed individuals in our country, right? Now, a couple factors. So it says that we're the most unemployed, and it also states the fact that based on that unemployment, we're averaging in this country per capita, per the amount of people that we actually have in this country, as far as black people are concerned, we have like a million less jobs than people from other ethnicities. So compared to a white man, a Mexican man, an Asian man, black men have a million less jobs. We're working a million less jobs compared to every other race of people, right? So I wanted to talk about this because this is important for the family, right? We need to get a clear understanding of this shit because this was a black website I got this from. So the article wasn't nefarious, like it was just stating facts, right? But what we need to look at, all of us in our community, why are black men the most unemployed people in this country? Like that's the fucking question. That's why I want to talk about this. You know what I mean? Because when we look at it, now of course, many of us who try our best to get like an understanding of racism, try our best to get an understanding of like the disenfranchisement of our people and seeing all the moving pieces with white supremacy. A lot of us do that, right? So if you do that, these type of figures um make sense to you, right? Because on some real shit, family, when we look at the amount of black men that are in prison, when we look at the amount of black men who still suffer in their communities from not having resources, whether it be their family not having resources, whether it be living in a community that don't got jobs, that don't got programs that produce jobs, like this country does a really fucking good job of depriving us of certain resources that we need to thrive that other communities may have, right? Because at the end of the day, I know black men who don't work, who uh may be a little shiftless, meaning they don't really want to work, they ain't really feeling the corporate structure of things, but that's not a black thing. Every man, all men in this country, you can find a shiftless Asian man, a shiftless white man. That's just how it works. Some men be like, I ain't fucking with this working shit for whatever reason, right? You don't want to work hard, you don't want to, whatever. But that happens with all races of people. That's not a black thing. But what is a black thing is being in an urban community where the food ain't shit, being in an urban community where it's not a lot of places to actually work as far as corporations in your community. It's not a lot of that, right? Dealing with the fact that for years upon years, we've had to deal with the systematic racism in our community. This could be how the police treat us. This could be how selling crack cocaine gets you a certain amount of time, but selling coke gets you a different amount of time. All of these factors, the school to prison pipeline, we could go on and on and on. All of these factors contribute to where we are today. So when this study says we're missing $50 billion in revenue based on the amount of black men that ain't working, I say, no shit, right? No shit. Think about how many of our brothers and sisters who are in jail right now, trumped up charges, something they did a long time ago, something that they're grown or they've grown now, so they don't even think the same way. Think about how many of our brothers who are in jail who could be engineers, who could be doctors, who could be regular construction workers, right? So when we look at black men in America not being employed as much as other men in this country, this is systematic, family. This is the structure that we're under. This shit isn't by happenstance. This system is work. People always say the system is broken. No, it's not. Like that's a fallacy. The system ain't broken. The system is working exactly the way they want it to work. You see what I'm saying? So because we need to, like, I add context. There are men in all communities who ain't shit, who don't want to work, who want to live off of a woman, who want to live with a mama, who don't want to work. This is just the situation in American society, right? But in our community, anything that America is suffering from, any type of ailment that America is suffering from, the black community is always going to get it worse. than anybody else. You can't set up a structure where you redline us to put us in these particular fucking communities. You redline us to put us in these particular communities. You institute drugs and certain ways of life into our community and expect us to still thrive. Like that's not a logical way of thinking about shit. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna see a study like that and come down on my brothers like we just some shiftless ain't shit motherfuckers who can't find a job. That's not the case. That's not the case, because like I was saying, you have brothers who can't find a job based on how you look, right? Based on your hair, based on how you talk, like all of these things, right? And some men get turned away or get shunned because of their appearance and how they look and how they speak and how they give it up. They get shunned and they go back to the drawing board and make some adjustments, right? Fuck that shit. I'm gonna still get me a job. I'm gonna make some adjustments. That's not everybody. A lot of brothers be like, fuck that shit. Because when we look at the unemployment, it was like the other races of men in this country have like 1 million more jobs than us, like per capita, right? Based on this report that I was looking at. And I believe it, because not only do we, like I was speaking about, how we get shut out from resources, but at the end of the day, we have a whole underworld. Like we have a whole conglomerate of black men who have said fuck corporate structure altogether. So they not working because they sell dope or they hustle or they do different things to make money, right? And you have to look at that and think, why is that? Now, of course, some but not all. Some men are just choosing to do what they want to do. They don't want to work. We spoke about that. But some men see this system for what it is. They say, okay, you don't want to hire me. I went to jail. I did my time. You don't want to hire me now? Okay, fuck you. I go sell dope. I'll go and function on the underworld where I know the rules. You see what I'm saying? Where I know right is right and wrong is wrong there, or not suffer the consequences. You see what I'm saying? I'd rather go there where it's blatant what's gonna happen to me if I'm on the street fucking with somebody and some shit don't go right. It's blatant what the ultimate result is gonna be. Whereas in corporate America, they do funny shit where they play with you, where they placate you and lie a little bit and make it seem like it's all good when it's not. Everybody don't want to deal with that shit. You see what I'm saying? So when we look at black men being the most unemployed individuals in this country, this is a byproduct. This is the point of my video today, family. This is a byproduct of systematic racism. If you gave us resources in our community, if you put more money into the public schools, so we had there was a period in time where you can get a trade from going to high school. You can finish high school and be in carpenter, be in construction, know how to do shit with your hands, right? So all of the government funding that used to go into public schools don't go there no more, family. Now, if you live in a community where the medium income for the entire community is $30,000 to $40,000 or less, y'all getting fucked. Y'all not getting the resources you need. You see what I'm saying? So everything is a trickle down effect. So when we look at how we're treated in this country, when we look at our standing in this country as far as black men is concerned, this type of report is a glaring example of what this country has done to us. Now, this isn't an excuse. Just because of institutionalized racism, just because of Jim Crow, just because of all the years upon years of different shit we had to go through in this country, none of this means you should give up. None of this means you should just say fuck it, and I'm not going to try to improve my standing and be the best person I can in society. That's not what I'm saying, but it's hard. And everybody doesn't have the wherewithal. That's what they never mention. When we talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, we need to be honest and say everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. Whether physically or mentally, everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. And this country, in my opinion, thrives on the people who don't know shit. It thrives on the people who don't work hard. It thrives on the people who may not be as confident in themselves as they should be or need be, right? It's basically taking advantage of the weak to a degree. I hate to say it like that, but it's taking advantage of the weak. You know what I mean? So that's a big problem that we have to address, family, because when we look at that, this report says that's $50 billion a year that we're losing in our economy from black men, right? And again, this report was from a black website, so they wasn't on no nefarious shit. They were just stating facts, but it's showing $50 billion a year that we don't get because black men don't have jobs. Now a Republican or somebody who don't really fuck with us like that will look at that number and say, okay, aha, I knew they wasn't working. I knew they was shiftless. I knew they wasn't about shit. And this isn't the case, family. When we look at our communities, there isn't jobs in our communities. There isn't outlets for young people to realize their dreams if it's not fucking shooting a basketball or rapping or singing. You see what I'm saying? So this is a systematic play that we need to be aware of, because all of us on my show, on my platform, I'm always talking about black businesses. I'm highlighting it. I'm making it a point of reference. Why? Because there isn't any really, right? So don't look at us. When we look at our communities and we see these Hindus and these Indian and these other races of people starting businesses in our community, this isn't by happenstance, family. They're given the opportunity. They're given the resources. A lot of people, if you didn't know it or not, a lot of people come to this country and they're handed the resources that we had to fight and strive for all these years, right? Then they get the resources, do some good shit with it, look back at us like, why y'all couldn't do this? Well, we couldn't do it because we live in America. And we don't need to be an excuse-written people. Like, you can't look at the structure of this country and say, I'm going to give up and not try. But you have to look at the structure of this country and say, okay, this is what they wanted us to, this is where they wanted us to be. This is the position they wanted us to be in. So I have to learn about history. I have to learn about laws and things that affect me directly. I have to learn about this shit so I can navigate a way around it. Everything is about navigating around the mazes. And so that's the mentality. But even that's difficult. Look at our prison system. You don't think some of these brothers attempted to maneuver around what was in front of them? Your mama on drugs, your daddy in jail. It's just baking soda in your refrigerator. Does anybody know what that actually feels like? Like, because when we talk about crime and the type of shit that fuck black, let's remove the color of your skin for a minute. Anybody struggle not having something? Every community who came here and had to struggle, Italians, Russians, name them, they had to come here and struggle. They participated in the same kind of shit. Whether it was drugs, whether it was criminality. Criminality is based on a lack of resources, right? When Italians first got here, they was on the same shit. The mafia and all these different and all these different factions, they didn't just do this shit for no reason. They conducted themselves like this because they didn't have resources. So they pulled their resources together that they did have. They came together and said, okay, how are we going to thwart this system? Everything is about maneuvering around the system. However, Italians, other races of people, after so much time, right? They were walked into white society, right? Italians became white men, right? Let's keep it fucking real. So that's why people in the black community are so some of us are so hell-bent on reparations, because you can think in your mind that this is based on some shit that happened a long time ago, but it's actually still happening now, family. In Jewish people, other groups of white people, Asian people, reparations have been given in this country. Money has been doled out for some shit we felt we did to you, as far as America is concerned. Excuse me, right? So when we look at this stat of all these of black men being the most unemployed in this country, it's a systematic issue that has to be addressed. And I'm not going to let anybody read a story like this and think my brothers is just shiftless, or we just can't find jobs, or we're not trying hard enough to work. That's not the case, family. The position that we're in this country was orchestrated. The details about the orchestration was put into play a long time ago. So this is what we need to be aware of, right? Now, again, like I was saying, there's shiftless individuals in every race of people. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about a systematic push to remove, in my opinion, black men, women, children from this country. There's 43 million black people in America. That was never how it was supposed to be. That was never the plan, family. When they went and got us, because you can talk about us being Aboriginal or being actual members of the actual slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, however you want to frame it, we was put in these situations, family. However you want to frame it, the goal wasn't to bring you here as a slave and years later you running for president. Years later, you're a part of the American populace in a positive manner. That was never the goal, family. So me personally, because some people look at like a conspiracy theory in general as this negative thing to be laughed at. But in actuality, a lot of that shit be true, family. Where we are in this country, how shit has transpired, all of this shit has been orchestrated, right? Right? All of this shit has been orchestrated. So this isn't an excuse, though, because sometimes when I'm listening to political pundits, Republicans, other individuals, they're making it seem like for me to say, hey, this is what you've done to me and you owe me, that I'm being lazy or I'm giving you an excuse, when in actuality, this is just the law of the land. This is just how y'all set it up. And as Black folks, this is why my platform is so important to me. We need to speak up and say, fuck that. We need to speak up and say, no, this is why we're in this situation. This is why our schools in the inner city conduct themselves the way they do. This is why so many young men are going in and out of the penitentiary. Like the rate in which Black men, the recidivism, I'm sorry, I'm saying the word wrong. The amount of Black men who go in and out of jail, all of this is orchestrated, family. Now, of course, you need to figure out a way to maneuver around a lot of this shit, but it's been put in place for you. And unfortunately, some men just don't have the wherewithal to maneuver around this system, so they get caught up in it. And once they get caught up in it, now they're repeat offenders. Now you expect him to get out of jail after sitting in a penitentiary and learning about all these damn crimes. What do you think the penitentiary is? Do you think most of the motherfuckers in there is talking about how they gonna start a business when they get out, or how they gonna invest in stocks when they get out? Bullshit. Most of them are professional criminals, and they're in the business of, I just made a mistake is why I'm here. I could do the same thing I did, just do it in a different way. You see what I'm saying? Which puts us in a cycle of repeating of Black men continuously going back and forth to jail. So if you look at how was our households getting back to the $50 billion that we missing out because we don't work, how is our household supposed to be fluent? How is our household supposed to be structured when the men ain't there, family? Right? When the men ain't there, and this has been orchestrated, going back to the welfare system. Lyndon B. Johnson, when you institute this welfare system that make women feel like this situation will be more advantageous to me if the man isn't here. That's on purpose, right? Because all of these things, we're still suffering. The residue is still here today. The welfare system is still here today. We still have Black women. We still have Black women on welfare who feel that check is more important than the kid having a relationship with the father. Because back in the day, if you were on welfare, no man could be there. So they would stop by your house looking for shoes, looking for toothbrushes, shaving cream. This is real shit, family. So this is the orchestration, right? So all too often in our country, the powers that be orchestrate some shit, then look at you like, why you ain't getting out of it? Look at you like, why you ain't doing something different? What? How can I? You orchestrated this, right? You put me in a position I'm in today. Again, I'm not going to be an excuse-ridden person in focus on that too much, but we need to be aware of it. We need to be cognizant of how this country has treated us, right? So I just want to talk about that real quickly, family. Please, I'll put a link in this video of that actual article because I actually want you guys to read this article as well. So we need to be aware of that, family. All my Black men out there who working hard, keep doing your shit. I know too many Black men who got businesses, who get up every day and work as hard as they can. That's the bulk of us. This system wants you to believe that we some shiftless rapper ass niggas who can only run and jump and fuck bitches. That's not the case. That's not the case. So we need to do our best to dispel some of these stereotypes by continuing to speak truth to power, by continuing to work as hard as we can for our family. And it's a lot of us doing that, family. You feel me? So this has been your boy Harrison, man. The Melanated Convo. Please do me a favor, man, and like this channel. Subscribe to the Melanated Convo. the podcast, we do a podcast that's just interviews. Basically, we've changed the structure a little bit here over the last few weeks just to try to be more effective for the family. If you listen to the podcast on the digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all these different places, you can find the Melanated Convo podcast, where it's just interviews, me talking to individuals from our community, whether it be an entertainer, whether it be a doctor, whether it be a historian, whether it be a teacher, right? We get it in with all walks of life in our community, because we are not a monolith. As you've probably heard it before, we have everything. You know what I mean? We have from entertainers to just regular people to doctors and lawyers and writers. Our community is full of all of these talented type of individuals. So the Melanated Convo podcast focuses on having great conversations with talented individuals. So do me a favor and like the page, subscribe to the Melanated Convo YouTube channel. I'm out.